This episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast was brought to you by Drybrow. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. My guests today are Warry and Nicole Prance from Permanent Cosmetic Culture. Meeting in London and connecting over a passion for industry and mission for cosmetic artists to collaborate, Warry, owner of Beauty Effects in Toowomba, and Nicole Prance, founder of Pro Cosmetic Tattoo in Brisbane, joined forces to create a conference with a difference. Enter the Permanent Cosmetic Culture Conference, otherwise known as PCC. Known for her extensive knowledge in permanent makeup artistry, June wants to see improved regulations and education for the now ever popular beauty service. Nicole is also a trusted name in the PMU world, housing a clear understanding of correctional and the often shone away from treatments that nobody else wants to touch. Together with bucket loads of drive behind them, PCC is a purpose-led business which they're bringing to Australia, featuring some of the biggest names in the cosmetic tattooing industry, with the hope that they can stamp out the ego-led competitive nature that the industry so proudly holds. From Permanent Cosmetic Culture, today we welcome June Warry and Nicole Prance. June and Nicole, welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to get this chat started.
Finally, been in the works for a long time.
It really has. I know, I think just COVID and Zoom and the schedules and the calendars, it makes it difficult for everyone to catch up, even if it's not in person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Glad to be here today. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So, hey, just in case you both don't know, we start all of our episodes in the same place, which is finding out where our guest entered into the industry. And obviously, you both are cosmetic tattooists now, but perhaps there was a time where you weren't and you were just in beauty. I mean, how did you both get your career started? Maybe we'll start with you, Nicole.
So I started in art. It was the one thing at school that I absolutely loved. And following that, I did special effects makeup for about 7 or 8 years in the UK, working in TV and film, doing blood and gore and all that fun stuff. And as part of that diploma, you had to learn regular makeup as well, and hairdressing, unfortunately, which I am terrible at. And it was only upon doing that regular makeup stuff that I then developed a passion for all of the fun stuff, that the makeovers, bridal makeup, which I never thought I had an interest in. Combining that with the art, tattooing just sort of fell into place. So yeah, it's been a career now in tattooing for well over 10 years, and cosmetic tattoo industry is just booming, and it's getting better and better every year. Bigger community now, and yeah, it's never where I thought I would be, but I'm glad I'm doing something artistic.
Yeah, cool. And when did you move to Australia during that time?
So I've been in Australia now for, I think it's 10 years now, coming up 10 years. Yeah. So I pretty much went into makeup when I was about 17, 18, and I'll be 36 soon.
Did you do brows in the UK as well as Australia?
I did. I was doing eyebrows over there, and I was doing body tattooing as well. But at the time, it was a very male-dominated industry. So I was doing, a lot of work on the side. It was very hard to get work in shops back then, 20 odd years ago. And cosmetic tattooing was not popular at all, not at all. But these days, yeah, it's really, really developed into something quite different.
Absolutely. And I want to get into the changes that we've seen in the industry, but I'm going to pause you just there so that we can head on over to June. How did you get started, June?
So I finished school and wanted to get into the beauty industry because as a teenager growing up, I had the confidence of probably a wet sock. And I just wanted to do something that could make some little changes to myself and then to create that on clients as well. So I really love what I do. I love that progress of results that we have with clients and the outcome I find really satisfying. So I've been cosmetic tattooing for 16 years now, so way back in the dinosaur days, where very few people were doing it here in Australia. And over probably the last 6 years, I've been transforming my tattooing skills because for many, many, many years, it was very hard to find trainers and upskill yourself. And I couldn't be going overseas all the time. So for the last 5-6 years have been hammering myself to up my skill, do the very best I can, and just have a huge passion for results and education in the industry.
Yeah, hugely important. What did the industry look like back then, 16 years ago? I mean, I feel like everyone's a cosmetic tattooist, at the moment, and the art is just absolutely insane. But when I think about what cosmetic tattooing was, it was like big block blue ink, right? Like, is that what we were thinking about like 16 years ago?
Well, I guess I didn't have much confidence then. So I was doing really fine tadpole type brows, the Nike tick, that was totally on point. And also, I used to do just the outline of the lips as well. So that was a very popular look back in the mid 2000s. And I still get asked for that here and there, but it's not something that aligns with my brand or look that I like to create on clients now. But it was a very difficult industry back then, and even the beauty therapy industry back then, because that's my original qualification. And it was very uncommunity like because beauty industry wasn't invented back then. So
warm my heart. Yeah, I think it's I found that obviously, and that's the reason why we created Beauté, because it was very, very competitive. I would often hear business owners, as an educator and also as a business development manager traveling around to different businesses, I would often hear business owners say, "Oh, but don't tell anyone else, that we're working on this,"
the
or
secrets.
the secrets. And it just to me, I was like, what? Like, and I was actually saying to somebody just the other day, even if I told everybody how I make money from beauty industry, literally gave them my blueprint, my business plan, my invoicing, even if I gave everybody everything, they still wouldn't do it like we do, because it's that magic and that essence. So, you can share your secrets. And I love when people ask me, I've got a Facebook community, how can I monetize it? Or, I'm doing events, they're not profitable. How can I make a profitable event? I love helping people with that kind of stuff, because why not? Why would I want to see somebody fail at something which I know how to do well? It just baffles me. So I'm so happy that you guys are, taking this on in the cosmetic tattooing industry, because I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but cosmetic tattooing is like another level of competition.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I think because it's normally a one-man show, so it's sort of you in a shop by yourself, and it's for some reason it's not the same as body tattooing, where you've got 6 artists in a shop and they're all doing similar work. Perhaps they all have their own style. But with cosmetic tattooing, you get trained and you're pretty much out on your own. So I don't know if that creates this sort of, or has created that competitive side of it over the years, but I think we're definitely getting better at sharing and opening up. And I think that's a result of some of the original artists just for years having no one to talk to and trying to just do it all alone. And when you realize that everybody's got their own style and own flavor, and you're in your own lane, and it's so much better to just share and have industry friends. It really is. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's like those four walls in the treatment room can close in on you very quickly. And I feel like, why, if you've just done a great set of brows or if you've had an awful client, you want to speak to someone about it. You don't want to hold that in, because that will drive you absolutely insane, and you'll either love the industry or you'll resent the industry. So I feel like we should be having these conversations. We should be talking. You touch base there, Nicole, on something that I want to pinpoint is the upgrading of the knowledge and the education, because I think there are a lot of people out there who go, oh my goodness, cosmetic tattooing, 2-day course, I can charge $1,000 to $3,000. It's so easy to do. And then they go out there and they feel like they're the expert. How important is the training and the upskilling to you?
it's so important. And even, a decade or so into my career, I'm always seeking out training. I'm always looking for something else to do, at least once a year, a new course. I can safely say that if you do a beginner's course, you probably would be looking at 18 months to 2 years of practice consistently before you really felt like you knew where you were with it. And even then, you would still continue to learn and still have puzzling cases. It's just like, I guess, in beauty with skin, it's the canvas. You can't learn that in a few days. And in our industry, that's the only option there is, to learn it in a few days and then go out alone. So it's a different setup to other qualifications.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, June? I know that it's something you're pretty passionate about too.
Okay, I believe it's really important to invest back into yourself, because at the end of the day, our reputation is permanently marked on someone's face. And that client is our walking, talking billboard. And the clients love also to know that you are reinvesting back into your skill, into your art, your craft, your brand, and it gives them that vote of confidence as well, because it's heartbreaking when clients come to you with work done elsewhere, and or even, let's be honest, some of my work 10 years ago, oh my god, and those clients just seem to follow me, and they keep coming back, and then your knowledge and skill is just solving those puzzles on their skin, the results, and giving them better outcomes, because at the end of the day, that's what they deserve. They deserve the best results that they can have.
Definitely. I can see, obviously this is a podcast and people can't see, but I'm going to describe to you what I'm looking at when I look at June right now. There are a myriad of certificates on the wall in the background of education and different classes that you've sat. I think sometimes therapists and technicians are scared to publicize their training, because then they think that their clients will think, oh, you're uneducated. Do you shout about when you do new training and education, or do you kind of keep it a little bit more discreet?
No. So back in the day, I was discreet because I was brought up in the era of secret squirrels. Whereas now, I sing the praises, and I love it, because that's how you network. I mean, I met Nicole, what was that, 4 years ago in London?
I think a bit longer, actually. Yeah. We met in London.
Yeah, so it's really great to network, find like-minded people in the community as well, because it's such a lonely industry. And I just think it's so important to upskill and create that community within your brand.
Yeah, for sure. There are so many people. I mean, even just a couple of months ago, I remember somebody came into the Beauté Facebook group and said, I've heard cosmetic tattooing is a profitable service and you can make a lot of money from it. How have you found it? Should I become a cosmetic tattooist? And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm cringing at that question, because you're not passionate about it. You don't want to help people. There's no malice behind the question, other than I can make money from this. Do you guys have any advice to people who are considering becoming cosmetic tattooists?
It is a good earner, you know, it definitely, you do earn good money, but there's also a lot of expenses and a lot that you have to put back into it. And probably a good chunk, you know, those first 2 years where you won't really be earning anything. You know, you'll just have to be constantly sourcing clients at a cheaper rate to build the portfolio. And then once you've had that experience, you'll probably need to invest in a little bit more training and then perhaps upgrade your tools a little bit. So of course, on paper, you know, to earn between $400 and $800 or something for a set of eyebrows looks very good. But once you take a couple of hours out of it, your tax, your expenses, you know, everything else, it does come down quite modestly. So yeah, you definitely have to be prepared to put in the graft. But if you can get there and get to a point where you've been tattooing for a while and you have a consistent client base, of course, it is very rewarding. And it's a great career, absolutely.
And I think also, well, for me, I'm a little bit biased in saying that you need to have a beauty or makeup background. I think that really helps. I think that helps with communication with clients, understanding the aesthetics of the face, color undertones. There's so much to it. And it's not about, you know, putting a sticker on the face, you know, swabbing some color on and going, oh yeah, that'll do. It's quite technical as well. So I think that if you're in it for the long haul and in it for the right reasons, you can definitely earn good money in this industry.
And it's the client interaction as well. You know, you need to have those people skills. You're spending potentially 2 to 3 hours with a person, just you and they in the room alone. And, you know, there's often nerves there. They can be quite anxious. You have to rule the room and be very confident. And when you're starting out, that is quite tricky to do. So you definitely need some experience or some work in having those client consultations and being able to lead a room when you are permanently tattooing on someone's face. And it is permanent. Another misconception in our industry, it's not semi-permanent. Yes, it fades, but it is permanent. So yeah, the client interaction is just a whole other part of it. And if you're not a likable person as well, people also won't come back to you. So you've got to have that good skill and be professional and also be likable. So, and it goes in the same in the beauty industry as well, I'm sure.
What you touched base on there, June, was that you should be a skin or a beauty or a makeup artist first, which I actually quite appreciate because you are creating a wound on somebody's skin at the end of the day. And it does worry me that you can go do a 2-day, 3-day, 5-day course and become a cosmetic tattooist and end up on a current affair, you know, overnight.
Well, actually, you wouldn't even need to do the course. You know, the requirements are just that you do an infection control and you have your room approved by the council, but there's no actual skill-based checks from the council. They're not checking that you're artistic at all. So if you really wanted to just learn off YouTube and get your room approved, that is a way too. So it is quite concerning.
Wow.
Definitely.
They are trying to regulate the industry, but that's quite a hot topic at the moment. I'm not sure how that will pan out because for the likes of Nicole and I, who have been in the industry for a long time, is someone now coming and assessing us? And what are they assessing that on? Because at the end of the day, it is art, but going back to that skin makeup aesthetic look, definitely that helps because just last week I turned away a client for eyebrow tattooing because her skin was awful. So I gave her the options, and I'm very probably too upfront and honest with clients. And I said, these are your options. I could do your brows. This is potentially what they'll heal like and look like. Or let's look at a skin program. You'll need this, this, and this active ingredient to help with your skin. Let's build your skin up. These course of treatments, and in 4 months' time, let's reassess the situation and see if your skin is a good candidate for me to wound it, hold on to color, and give you the look that I'm happy with and you're happy with to walk around with.
Yeah, that is very cool. I'm sure clients would appreciate that so much more than just, you know, taking money for the sake of taking money.
Yeah, I definitely know there's artists in my local town that will approach it in a different manner, and that's fine. That's their brand. But for me, I live in, well, you guys would probably think it's a small community, but Toowomba has, I think, 140,000 people in it. But it does become quite magnified quite quick. And I'm here for the long haul. I live in the community. My kids go to the school here. It's of no benefit to me or my brand to have undesirable work walk around.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said before, your face is your billboard.
Mm-hmm.
After the break, the ladies chat to us about challenges, the work that nobody wants to do, and events. But first, a word from today's beauty partner. Community, if like Nicole and June, you offer brow services too, then this product is for you. Do you offer cosmetic eyebrow tattooing that requires your client's brows to stay dry for 10 days afterwards? Or perhaps you offer eyebrow lamination, henna, or tinting services, and your clients struggle to stick to the aftercare instructions of keeping their brows dry for 24 hours. Well, Drybrow has designed an innovative waterproof adhesive eyebrow cover that keeps your clients' brows dry when showering, washing their hair, cleansing their face, applying skincare, and even while swimming. You can optimize your treatment results and client satisfaction by providing your clients with the Drybrow solution. Drybrow are offering all the beauty industry podcast listeners 20% off their first wholesale order just by simply mentioning beauty industry and claiming the offer. Visit www.drybrow.com.au for more information or contact the team directly for wholesale pricing. Thank you so much to Drybrow for making this episode of the Beauty Industry podcast possible. And now, back to the ladies. Nicole, I want to chat to you just sticking on the subjects of, cosmetic tattooing gone wrong if we can, because I know that you love an unpopular opinion, and you're actually taking on a lot of the cases that other artists kind of shy away to. So, like your ethnic skins and dark lips, or, paramedical tattooing and scar cover-ups and things like that, which is so damn cool. Because so many people shy away from it, what makes you want to do it?
Oh, madness, probably. I don't know. I think there was a time in my career where I just felt like I had to do everything and try everything, and I couldn't turn anyone down. And especially with the scar stuff and the nipple stuff, the nipple tattooing, sorry, for anyone who doesn't know that I do that. There was no one else doing it in the area. Even really in Australia, there was maybe one or two. And I was approached and I said, well, I don't really know how to do that. And we'll figure out how. And it sort of stemmed from there. A lot of it is me just trying to work it out. And I think as you get more experienced, you get a little bit more confident in certain techniques. The ethnic lips, we were always trained not to tattoo lips that had of a certain ethnicity, because the results can be worse than what they were naturally. But somewhere in the world, people have started doing that and they are getting good results. So we're sort of following on from that. It is definitely an advanced technique. But yeah, I do like a challenge, but also after so many years of taking on so many challenges, I've also learned as well that you do have to say no to some people. And sometimes it's not always a good idea to be so confident. Yes.
I'm interested to know from both of you, as people who hire other cosmetic tattooists in your space, I think it's very difficult for even somebody in the beauty or skin industry to have a client and then pass them on to somebody who's new. However, that would be even more difficult and more scary for the likes of something that is permanent on the skin. How do you navigate either transferring or moving or slowly introducing your current clients into somebody who's new into your business?
Well, I think you just need to have that artist have a certain style or a certain technique that they're doing, whether it be they only do the microblading or they only do lips, and then they come in as a specialist in that area. and really just focus on that one spot rather than an all-rounder. But of course, when you've been sort of the sole operator, clients are going to want to prefer to book in with the person that is the face of the brand. So there will be a tricky transition, but I think if you brought someone in as a specialist in that area, that would definitely help.
What about you, June? How do you have like an onboarding, technique or anything like that? Or do you tell your clients like, I'll sit in the room for the first treatment? Like, how do you actually have that conversation?
I think the whole thing is, like Nicole said, you've got to find other artists or therapists that are of the same mindset to you. So for me, my common ground with my team here is integrity of the skin. So what are we doing that is being the best outcome for the skin in years to come? And, that really helps to determine the results that we're going to be, the treatment that we're going to be performing on the client. So I say to my clients, we want to be tattooing you for the next 20 to 30 years. You can't do that with microblading. Like, there's so many myths in this industry. And I think if you bring on other artists into your brand, that they've got to have that same common ground in the mindset.
Absolutely. Good answer. I want to say that you guys are kind of phenomenal because, as well as your own businesses, you've also developed PCC, which is Permanent Cosmetic Culture. And I want to go back to what you mentioned before about how you met. So you met in London, but what made you actually want to develop a whole damn event together? Because meeting and being friends and having a chat is one thing, and then creating a whole event in a pandemic, mind you, is another.
Yeah, definitely. So I used to be a photographer, and so I did my beauty career, and then I scooted off for a little bit and did a photography gig for quite a few years, and I was still doing a bit of beauty, and then swung back into the beauty. But with the photography, I did a conference at the Gold Coast with an epic newborn photographer called Kelly Brown. If anyone's looking for a newborn photographer, she is brilliant. And she did this conference in the Gold Coast that had 5 rooms over 2 days, and she sold 400 tickets in under 2 hours.
Wow.
It was mind-blowing. And this was as I was I bought onto the ticket, and then I was heading out of photography and back into my full-time beauty the time I went to this conference. And I walked away from that conference buzzing. I came home, and I'm sure my husband and kids were just so tired of me talking about what a brilliant event that this was. And in the back of my mind, that is something I've always wanted to do. And as I was saying before, the industry with cosmetic tattooing in Australia years ago was really hard to find masterclasses and conferences and things like that. So I was doing all of my training overseas. And then one year I met Nicole in London, and not going to lie, I was a little bit miffed because my whole marketing strategy that time was that I was the only Australian attending this conference, and I had the local newspaper write something, whatever, and then I came back and I'm like, now I'm a liar because there's another Australian there. So then came back, and then I hosted Stephanie Toms to come over, and that was her first international tour in cosmetic tattooing. And for those who are in the cosmetic tattooing industry, know what a queen Stephanie is. Her eyeliner, brows, lips, she's a brilliant artist. And I was so chuffed to be the first brand to host her internationally. And she came to Australia, and then lo and behold, who's one of the first to sign up? Nicole. So I hosted a very intimate masterclass with Stephanie here in Toowomba, and had Nicole and other artists from all over. Even there was an artist, Jenny, she flew over from Auckland to be with Stephanie as well. So I was really happy to pull off Steph being here and whatever. And as Nicole's tattooing on a model. I kept talking about this conference, and Steph's like, that's all you've ever spoken about, you know, just do a conference. And I looked at Nicole as she's tattooing a set of lips, and I went, do you want to do this with me? And she's like, yeah, sure. So that's kind of my little backstory. Nicole, have you ever felt that you've wanted to do this, or yeah?
Well, I haven't, I didn't ever think I would be putting on the conference, but certainly when June and I met in London, we were at a conference. That was where we were. And I thoroughly enjoyed the conference, but there were elements to it that I didn't enjoy so much. And having been to a few around the world, I've always enjoyed these events, but there's always been things that I wished were slightly different. So, yeah, when June asked me, I just thought, well, how fantastic to be a part of this, and also put in the experience that I've had going to different conferences and change it to what I would love as an event, as an attendee. Basically, the whole aspect of arriving alone was the thing that was scary for me. And that was the one thing that we really wanted to change with PCC, that you're not just a solo artist showing up and it's a bit like a girls' club, it feels a bit cliquey. All events have felt a little bit like that over the years. So we're really trying to get rid of that whole cliquiness and just create a bit more of a family vibe, and everybody's welcome and nobody's better than anybody else. And we're all trying to learn, speakers included, you know, we don't want it to be them and us, you know, or them and the ticket holders. So I never thought I would be putting on an event, but I'm glad I am, and I get to change it to how I want it to be.
Absolutely. And also for the listeners who haven't heard of PCC, is what also makes us different is we're doing 2 rooms over 2 days. So there may be Nicole in one room doing her areola demonstration, and then in another room there might be a business talk. So not everyone does areola cosmetic tattooing, and that may not interest everyone. So we really understand time is really precious, and we're taking you away from your family, your business, your comfort zone, and we want to create a comfortable, warm, welcome, educational experience for everyone.
Yeah, because that was the other thing we found. Sometimes, you know, tattooing can be 2-3 hours. When you are watching a demonstration that perhaps you don't do, or you already feel quite comfortable in, 2 or 3 hours out of the day is a long time to be sitting there, especially after lunch. You get a bit sleepy. So it'd be nice to have that option to move to another space. And that was what we wanted to create. And with June doing her photography conference that she does talk about a lot, that was where that came from. But 5 rooms is too much for us to handle.
Yeah.
So we'll start with 2.
Especially for a first event.
Yes.
1 room is enough. Navigating 2 is difficult. Navigating 5 is otherworldly.
Yes.
So I'm glad you've gone for 2. And also, I'd like to share with everyone that I'm going to be emceeing the PCC conference.
Of course. Who else?
So excited. But I really love what you've said there about the event being comfortable and warm and welcome, because I need to say this. I've been to a few cosmetic tattooist events, and I walked in the room just with my regular kind of, you know, black leather work bag and just like corporate outfit, which I would normally wear. And I walked into like YSL, Chanel, Gucci, and I was like, holy shit, why didn't I bring my Chanel purse? And I thought, God, why am I thinking this? Where is this imposter syndrome come? So I really love that you've said there, you know, just comfortable, warm, welcoming. And at the end of the day, I feel like PCC is not just be a who's in the room. You know, it's not to be the flashiest or the brightest or to have the YSL or the Louis or, you know, whatever. It's there so that you can upskill. And I really appreciate that you guys are going business and beauty and art, because that's what the whole industry should be about.
Well, I believe any good brand knows that. And we all know that all of those elements are really good. You could be a brilliant cosmetic tattooist, but a terrible business person, or vice versa. And it's all about that right little balance. It's a bit like, making pancakes. You've got to have the right amount of ingredients for it to all come together really well.
Absolutely. Well said. Because you both have your own businesses and you're now teetering into the events side of things, and as I mentioned before, pandemic, right in the middle of all of that, I'm sure there's been lots of juggle, lots of reschedule. I know there's been lots of reschedule, lots of balancing. What have you found to be the biggest challenge in having almost two businesses each?
Time is definitely a thing, because when we first got started with the conference, which was back in 2019 now, thanks to COVID, it's been a lot of years in the making and a few date push outs. So when we first got started on it, it consumed us. We were so excited. We would just ring each other all the time. And honestly, our other businesses did get a little bit neglected for a few months there. The emails sat a little bit longer because we were just so absorbed with this and so excited. But over time, we've managed to find that balance. We have alternate days off, June and I. So normally we can commit a few hours on our day off to certain admin things, and we've delegated certain tasks. So June's better at the accounting, the numbers side, and everything else. So she'll sort of stick to one side and I'll do other jobs. And then we've had to bring in a few people to help us to hire in as well over the last year. And that's really taken the pressure off with running our full-time businesses. June opened up a shop at the start of the year. Was it the start of the year? So she's had all that going on as well. So having a couple of extra staff members on board has definitely helped us. And I have a baby on the way, as you would know, Tamara. So this is going to be a whole new juggle element for me. So
let me tell you, the juggle is certainly real. I hope you have a unicorn baby. I really do, because I'm checking my baby's back of his head for the 666 number. I tell you what. I'm like, where is all this sleeping? Where is the lovely little bouncer in the corner that everyone's telling me about? Because I can't find it.
You're like, it's a magical moment. It is.
You wait till teenage years.
Oh, goodness.
And then people say, wait to toddler years. So when is it fun?
Exactly.
I think when they leave home, I've got about 5 years until my son leaves home, a little bit longer for my daughter. So yeah, I think every stage brings challenges, but I find females, we're so good at this. We're so good at juggling. We just compartmentalize things and we just make it work.
Absolutely. Well, my mum was actually saying the other day that almost everyone that she knows, people she works with, people in the family, are working until they're 8-9 months pregnant these days. And when she was having children, back in the late 70s, 80s, you either weren't working or you would clock off at about 5-6 months. And she's just saying, I don't know how you do it. And I was thinking, it's just kind of what everyone does, isn't it? Most.
I was having contractions while I was working on the client.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but my son was nearly a month early. So it was Christmas Eve. I'm sitting there. This is back in the days when I was doing pedicures on clients with all the other beauty stuff. And I'm sitting there going, I feel really odd. And lo and behold, I'm in labor a few hours later and have my son Christmas Day.
Wow. Yeah, I think women are just I knew we were super women. I knew women were like on another level. And I know a lot of people say, don't talk about women to be this superwoman narrative. And I'm like, stuff it. We freaking are super women. Like the amount of shit we hold in our head and juggle, and businesses and double businesses and babies and husbands and cats and like all of the stuff. I'm like, no, we are truly super women. So I'm going to herald that name because we do so much. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I want to ask you both, because I think what you've got is quite unique, and just hearing you guys bounce off each other sounds like you've kind of hit the jackpot in terms of your partnership. How do you kind of navigate that partnership? Because I love being a business owner because I can run the roast, I can be creative, I have the final say, which is probably a bit of my ego as well, and a bit of my control freak coming out. How do you kind of navigate, okay, June's got this idea but Nicole's going to execute it, but then what does June think? That back and forth and that balance of a partnership, how do you handle that?
think it's just trust, and we've developed this trust over the years. We're very different. Our styles in everything are very different. The way we are in our businesses, the way we tattoo is completely different. The way we dress, everything is so different between June and I. But for some reason, it just works. And if she says something, I'll reply back and we'll discuss it for a little bit, and then if one of us wants to execute, normally we both agree and then we just go for it, and so far it's been working very well.
Absolutely. And I think the trick is as well, we don't live in each other's pockets, you know, very much happy to catch up, spend time together, things like that, but we're not spending every weekend together. Where yes, we communicate every day. There's probably 6 days out of 7 there would be some form of communication between us. But I think at the end of the day, our end goal, we're just of the same mindset, and it's a bit like team members that you have within your business. My girls that I have here at Beauty Effects in Toowomba have been with me for quite a while. We're all coming in together. We're all creating a nice community, a nice work life, and we're all having the same outcome. And same with Nicole and I, we're both passionate that we pull off an epic event, and I'm so freaking excited.
I think as well, we're at similar stages in our career where June has been in the game a little bit longer than I have. We've had the same sort of struggles. We've sort of reached the same point now where, we've worked for so many years. It's nice to come off the tools a little bit and, keep that fire in your belly about the industry and put it into something else. Because once you've done a decade of tattooing, it does get tiresome. So it's nice to be able to still be in the industry but have a new spin on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's nice to be real.
Yes, always.
Yeah. To be real with one another. Our brand is real. I think our partnership is real. That Nicole can be like, oh, what about this, or this, and I'll be like, oh, let's have a look at that, or look at both sides of that story and whatever, and we just have open conversation with one another. I know that we're not having secret conversations with other people, putting each other down. I think that that's a really important thing. We have a great respect for one another, and she just needs to full-time do what I say, and it'll be a great long-term relationship.
You hear that, Nicole?
Yes, sir.
Joking.
You both feel, to me, very conscious and self-aware with, the words that have been thrown around on this podcast, like mindset and gratitude and, real and humble and things like that. Have you either had any coaches or, kind of mentors that have led you along the way or given you advice?
Yeah, I have basically just in a life coach, one of my best friends. She has really helped me to shift my thinking over the last 20 years, to be honest. She's been amazing for me, just helped me see things from a completely different perspective, because I can be very tunnel vision, and it's just always good to have that person beside you to help open that up, and in a non-judgmental way. I think that that's important, that you're just able to look at things from a different perspective and be okay with that.
I can't say I've had a solid mentor all the way through. It's been a very solo game for me. Even growing up, I started working at 12 and had many jobs when I was younger. I was independent from a very young age due to certain circumstances, and I've always just sort of gone out on my own. But I think now with June, I've definitely got that in June from a business point of view. And if I'm training students, I'd like to think that I'm a good mentor to them. I like to think that what I didn't get, I'm giving back to them. So my students add me on Facebook, and they will messenger me at any time of day that they want to, and we'll chat and I'll guide them, and that feels nice. I wish I'd had that throughout my career, for sure.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Ladies, thank you so much for spending the morning with me. It's been absolutely divine chatting cosmetic tattoo and PCC. So special. You guys are just a force to be reckoned with, and I can't wait for the conference this year.
Yes, October now. So we are very, very excited, and we're here in Brisbane in Queensland, which is amazing. And we look forward to having you there tomorrow for sure. And thank you so much for today. And thank you to all the listeners for having us babble on.
Appreciate it always. Well, you guys know that I am here for anything that promotes connection and collaboration in our industry. So when the ladies asked me to not only host the PCC conference, but to speak on the topic itself, as well as the nature of business and beauty, the answer yes jumped out of my mouth before they had even finished asking the question. The event is scheduled for Sunday the 17th and Monday the 18th of October this year, 2021, in Brisbane, Queensland. And though tickets are sold out, you can still pop your name down on the waitlist for a potential future spot over at permanentcosmeticculture.com, or of course by clicking on the link in our show notes. To show the girls lots of support, head on over to the gram and give them a follow at PCC_PMU_conference_AUS. And while you're there, send us some love at Beauté Industry and come and say hello to me at Tamara Reid Beauté. Until next time, stay connected.